Just before midnight on August 31st, 2023, Northport resident Jana Walton awoke to noises at her front door. First, she heard the doorbell ring, followed by banging and a woman's voice calling out for help. After waking her husband and checking on the safety of her children, Jana placed a call to 911.
I was location of the emergency. I was upstairs and out, and my daughter was sitting downstairs and someone read and bang on our door and ring the doorbell. Really, I need help. Took me a second to realize what was going on.
Jana had initially opened the door and found the person was gone. While on the line with emergency dispatch, she decided to check again. This time, she spotted what appeared to be blood at the threshold and trailing along the driveway, leading out to the street.
Did anyone in your house see her? No. Well, her. So everything's pretty vacant on here. The house cut street is empty, the house door is empty. We wanted to make sure the house was on the street. Did you only hear one voice? Did you hear more than one? Oh, there's a whole bunch of blood outside. We need ambulance now. Okay. Okay. You don't lock door. Dan. Good luck.
The Waltons, safe in their garage, watched as police cruisers began to fill the street. Officer Tyler Rogakis of the Northport Police Department was amongst the first to arrive on scene. As he pulled his cruiser onto Malakote Road, he observed a younger-looking man, dressed in a light tank top and red shorts, getting into a small black car. Though it was dark, the officer could see that the man was covered in blood. Rogakis identified himself as an officer and gave clear instructions to stop, which were ignored. The car pulled away, and a chase through the streets of Northport ensued. Northport police first pursued the black Chevy Sonic through the residential streets. Over the next 30 minutes, the driver made his way onto the I-75 and across county lines. At least 3 officers, including Rogakis, were in tow as the vehicle first sped down and then up the highway, at one point crossing over to drive against oncoming traffic. Police continued in pursuit, though on the correct side of the road. As they did so, information from the scene on Malakote Road was reaching them. 2 doors down from the Waltons, inside the house where the fleeing suspect had been parked, police entered to find the homeowners, Robbie and Jennifer Tower, dead in a bloody scene. Each had sustained an undetermined number of stab wounds. Absent from the home was the couple's 22-year-old son, Dima Tower. Jana told police it was his black Chevy that had raced from the scene upon their arrival. Sarasota County Sheriff's deputies eventually stopped the car by deploying a spike strip onto the roadway. His tires flattened. Dashcam footage captured Dima exiting the car and running from the roadside. He hopped a fence which led into a warehousing property. Behind was a series of alligator-infested canals. Officers recalled hearing the animals in the water as they approached. They believed Dima swam into the canals in order to elude them. His efforts paid off, at least for a time. The chase was called off for the night. Search efforts to locate Robbie and Jennifer Tower's bloodied son resumed again the next morning, in the light of day. Robbie and Jennifer were both deeply religious. Their faith led them to take on regular missionary work in Eastern Europe and elsewhere. Unable to conceive, they made other plans to expand their family. Following a visit to an orphanage in Ukraine, the Towers made the decision to adopt. Though the process was long, stressful, and extremely expensive, Robbie and Jennifer were elated when they were finally able to welcome home their adopted son. At the age of 14, the Towers adopted Dima. Dima Tower was born in the Luhansk region of what is currently Russian-occupied Ukraine, located in the far east of the country. In his early years, Dima suffered an alcoholic father who eventually abandoned both him and his mother. When Dima was around the age of 6, his biological mother passed away. He was passed around to other family members' homes in the following months, staying for a short time with an older brother, then later an uncle. By the time he encountered the 2 Americans that would become his parents, Dima had been in the Ukrainian foster system for several years. He lived first in the Luhansk orphanage, which was later relocated further west as the Russian invasion pushed further into the region. American family members described the institution where Dima was living as a prison for children. They reported horrific conditions and that Dima would show signs of physical abuse. When the Towers became parents, family members recalled Jennifer's pure joy and Robbie's open pride at his son's every small success. They embraced their new role as parents. The transition for Dima was challenging, of course. Already in his early teens, he did not speak English when he first arrived in Northport. High school classes were problematic. He dropped out of school entirely in 10th grade. Nonetheless, the family made memories, taking trips across the country and celebrating milestones. They posted with pride images of Dima receiving his American citizenship, though more challenges laid ahead for the Towers. Arguments with Dima became more frequent. He moved out of the house to live with other family members and independently for a time. A police response for a domestic incident was reported in 2020 at the house on Malakote, though no charges were ever filed. Family referred to the period before the murders as one of escalating violence. By the time of Robbie and Jennifer's murder, Dima had been living back at the house for roughly 8 months. He was working. His parents had purchased him a small black Chevy Sonic, the same one that sped through the streets after fleeing the scene of their brutal murder. The medical examiner found 68 penetrating wounds on Robbie. They were located on his neck, chest, arms, and elsewhere on his upper body. The same was true for Jennifer. She sustained 79 stab wounds, mostly to her neck. An analysis of the crime scene, which stretched from the bedroom, out of the house down the street to the Waltons, and then back to the Towers' living room, would reveal the extent of an incomprehensibly savage attack. Authorities had every reason to believe that it had been committed by their own son, the young man they had adopted from dire conditions and welcomed into their loving family. On the morning of September 1st, Kay Rosas, a Shell gas station employee in Nokomis, watched as a disheveled, extremely muddied young man entered the store and selected an iced tea from the wall of fridges. Kay was immediately suspicious. It was far too early in the day to see landscape workers or other laborers entering the station covered in mud. She grew even more concerned when she took the man's cash and saw that the mud on his hands was mixed with red stains. She spoke to him in English, then Spanish, and had no reply. Police entered the store in search of Dima Tower. Only minutes later, cameras capturing the back parking lot of the same building showed Dima walking calmly in one direction, then back towards the exit of the building. Officers, alerted to his presence in the area by Kay and others who noticed him out of place, promptly made the arrest. When Dima sat down with detectives, he was asked to explain how and why the murders had taken place. On the first point, how the attack happened, forensic experts on scene had already deduced the answer. Blood evidence showed what was likely a surprise attack in the master bedroom. Robbie, a considerably larger man than his son, was caught unaware as he slept. There were signs of an intense struggle in the bedroom, against the north wall, and then leading into the living room, where Robbie was eventually found.
So your dad starts getting up out of bed? No, he wasn't. He was asleep. Okay. And you stabbed him? Yeah. Do you remember how many times? Countless. I'm sorry? Countless. Countless times? Did he ever get out of bed? Yeah. And then what? Did you push him against the wall? Or did he fall? Just bleeding out. Go around the house. Can't let him go.
It seemed logical that Jennifer would have awoken as this occurred. Perhaps she had attempted to intervene. Already injured, Jennifer made her way out of the house, across the lawn of the vacant house next to hers to reach Jana's front door. The trail back across the driveway showed her return trip. She would be found back in the living room next to her husband. Detectives believed her son must have pursued her to the neighbor's door and forced her back at knife point.
Yeah. Did you close the door behind her, or did you? They told her to get back inside. And she kept on. No, she went back inside. At one point, did she go to the neighbors? Yeah, that's when she went out. Was your dad back up? Yeah. Did you go back out there together? Or yes. And you yelled at her? No, I say, yes. Mm-hmm. Where was she? Jennifer. He was. Did he drive? Drive.
Dima explained that he instructed his mother to return to the house, and she did. She sat for a time on their sofa, listening to her son air his grievances. When he had completed his monologue, he killed her.
You were talking to her? Yeah. What was she saying back? Pretty much nothing. She wasn't crying, pleading for her life or anything. She was. She was.
When detectives asked what had motivated Dima to so brutally murder his parents, he offered several responses. Mostly, he insisted that the answer was too complicated, that they would not understand, or that he did not have time to explain it all to them. Perhaps the clearest and most honest response he offered was encapsulated in a single word: rage.
Help you understand what laughs. Rage. Rage has to improve somewhere, so there has to be some rage. So our rage to keep bottled up. Right? Do your parents push you into the rage? We want to live like family anymore. They weren't family anymore? Yeah. Did they change? We've been through so much shit. Yeah. We've been arguing and going back and forth. About what? Family issues. So have you had these thoughts for most of your life? No. No. Just came up because of all the anger and all the. Sure, I want to go back to grind. Yeah. Straight and ready. Did you ask them? Did you say that to your parents that you were going to go back to Ukraine, and did they fight with you or something? No. No.
Dima denigrated the United States. He no longer cared for his adopted family or country. He was angry and finished with all of it. The 22-year-old presented no plan to return to his home nation, which is still at war, nor did he offer any explanation as to why his parents would have stopped him seeking his life elsewhere, only that he had fallen out with them. They were no longer a family, he said. Robbie and Jennifer argued frequently. Often their disagreements were about him. In these exchanges, if either parent defended his behavior, it would be Jennifer. Robbie, Dima claimed, accused him of ruining his marriage.
What was the reason to kill your parents? Well, can you give us one reason?
Dima contemplated the murder in advance. He recounted thinking about killing his parents when he returned home that night, first as he sat in his car, then as he went into his bedroom and had some whiskey.
So you had those thoughts when you were in the bedroom and that? Yeah. Did they start while you were in the car? Yeah. So you start having the thoughts in the car, you go into the house, you go into your bedroom, you continue to have the thoughts, and you laugh and stuff. So you know, yeah, did something trigger it, or did you just say, I'm doing it? I'm doing it. So you go over to the kitchen, and you get the knife out of the butcher block. Yeah. And then you went right straight to your dad. Mm-hmm. Did you pick your dad because you knew that you have to disable our parts? And it was mom sleeping in bed next to dad. Nope. Sounds crazy. Well, it's your story, so it's so crazy.
2 knives were used in the attack. One was found behind a bedside table. Dima claimed this one slipped and he lost it. Instead of ending the attack at that time, he went into the kitchen, retrieved a second knife, and resumed stabbing his parents. Investigators found dirtied water on the counter next to the sink in the kitchen, as well as a towel. Near to the sink was a knife block, where DNA from the handle of a second knife was matched to Dima. Though it appeared to have been washed off before being placed back in the block, some blood remained on the blade. Dima was held at the Sarasota County Jail awaiting his trial. At first, he was charged with 2 counts of murder in the second degree and 1 count of fleeing law enforcement. Though it was clear from the statements Dima made to detectives and the prolonged brutality of the murders that, barring any mental health considerations, the crime had been contemplated in advance and throughout. The grand jury therefore indicted Dima Taylor on 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. He went to trial in November 2025. Dima's troubled childhood, much of which was spent as a mistreated orphan, was not deemed relevant to the proceedings. If the details of his past overseas were off limits, so too were references to his aggressive behavior after moving to Northport. Old classmates recalled his creepy, antisocial behavior, had been withdrawn, hiding alone in the nearby woodland. When engaged, he was a bully. Family said Dima had a love of boxing, but only because he loved to hit things. Robbie and Jennifer's selfless intentions towards their adopted son were no match for the anger that he already carried with him, they said.
I'm basically a nobody coming from nowhere. That's what Mr. Tower said. This trial is going to be a little bit different. If you're expecting that I'm going to stand here and say that Mr. Tower is not guilty of anything, you would be incorrect. We talked during jury selection about different levels of murder and different levels of homicide.
Let's continue for a moment. Let's see if we can continue.
Sure.
Go ahead, Mr.
The trial was characterized by emotional outbursts, the tone set by a defendant that did not wish to receive instruction. Dima Tower did, however, decide to take the stand to offer testimony in his defense. He pushed back on the questions given to him, even by his own attorney. He complained to the judge that he was unable to speak about the topics that he felt were important. Mostly, he kept his head down and breathed heavily into the microphone, visibly frustrated.
Maybe I can give a little bit of my personal background or something.
Mr. Tower, the way it's going to work the same with all witnesses. You need to listen to the question and then answer only the question that's been asked of you, okay?
Well, it's important that
It may be important, but you need to follow the rules in a courtroom, okay? Please ask your next question.
Sure. Did you go to school here in Sarasota County?
the questions that you're asking me are very complicated, but and cannot be simply answered. But I'm forced to simply answer questions, which cannot, for no right reason, can be answered simply. These are not simple questions.
Do you need a moment, Mr. Tower?
All right. Remember the jurors, let's take a break. Leave your notepads face down, writing in on top. Please don't discuss anything related to the jury. Everybody stand, jurors exiting.
It was unlikely that Dima's testimony spurred empathy from the jury. He made assertions that he was intoxicated when he confessed to detectives and temporarily insane while he committed the crime. His formal defense aimed to convince jurors only that the murders were an act of passion, manslaughter, and not murder. Though his testimony made clear that even if he had not planned the murders, he had contemplated committing them in advance.
Do you remember talking with them about multiple times having thoughts of killing your parents?
Yeah, I only had those thoughts a couple times.
Okay. Did you ever have a plan in place to make that happen?
No, I did not.
So you said you didn't think about killing your parents.
I did not plan on it.
Mr. Tower,
It was not premeditated.
Mr. Tower, What were you thinking about between the time you took that sharp knife, walked into your parents' bedroom, and started to stab your father in the dark?
I wasn't thinking anything.
You weren't thinking anything.
What is there to think?
When you were sitting out in your car before you went into the house on the night of August 31st, did you decide to kill your parents before you walked in?
Yes.
I don't have anything else. Thank you, Your Honor.
The jury returned with guilty verdicts on all counts. During the sentencing portion of the trial, Robbie and Jennifer's loved ones were given an opportunity to speak about the couple's many admirable qualities, as well as the impact of their loss.
They had a love for the Ukrainian people. And so I was not completely surprised when Jen told me about Dima. She beamed. I can promise you that she could not have loved you more, Dima, than if she gave birth to you herself.
They chose to love Dima and to bring him into their lives. They wanted to make him a somebody and gave him their name.
Robbie's father used his time to speak of vengeance. He wished, against the court rules, to address his grandson directly.
Dima, look at me.
No, sorry, dude. Go ahead and direct your comments to me, okay?
I would like him to change his name while he's in jail. I don't want him to use my name anymore. I don't want him to be associated with us. And a lot of things I want to say to you, to him.
Take your
I
time.
don't believe you'd allow it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't think I could go any further.
Dima was given one last chance to speak in the hope that he would express some remorse and, in doing so, offer some form of closure to his family. He was unable to do so. In a bizarre and confusing statement about taking responsibility, he appeared to try to place blame upon his grandparents, specifically Jennifer and Robbie's fathers.
And my apology in this is that nobody want to be held accountable for their actions. And I'm being held accountable for the actions of grown men. So my apology is that I have to be responsible for what Oscar did to his children and what Phil did to his children. And how can I apologize for the mistreatment that Oscar, as a stepfather.
All right, I'm going to have the defendant removed from the stand. He's choosing not to give an apology.
The judge imposed 2 life sentences without parole to be served consecutively. Another 5 years was added for fleeing police.
Don't know what else to say. You seem to be an evil spirit, an evil person.
Evil spirit because you're talking foolish.
Who doesn't seem to have any...
I'm full of remorse. I'm not showing it.
Jennifer and Robbie Tower are remembered for their selfless nature, their warmth and compassion, and how they went above and beyond offering help to others who needed it. The couple spent their vacation time and resources traveling to Russia and Ukraine on mission trips with an aim to help others. They were said to hold a great love of Ukraine and its people. And that was the tragic case of Robbie and Jennifer Tower.